Hi, my name is Dion Roberts, and I bring to you today my Leadership 101. I want to start off with my leadership style and why I believe that this style will ensure the creation of an ideal organization. When it comes to leadership, I lean towards a democratic or a collaborative leadership approach, which works well with my philosophy of education and my personality. I feel that leadership comes from collaboration and growth. Having a growth mindset in all things is what helps excel any task, challenge, or barrier that could possibly hinder any student from having the ability to grow. This will ensure a successful organization by building a solid foundation that is established not only off of relationship building, but a melting pot of ideas that allows for more buy in from all stakeholders combined. A school full of dreams. An ideal school district is one that every superintendent can imagine. A school district, an ideal school district, would be one where every student experiences growth and learning, where all educators work collaboratively in order to achieve student success, and one where parents, community, and other stakeholders are invested in schools to support the next generation. Unfortunately, this euphoria school is not one that we see in every picture everywhere that we turn. Lately, we've seen lots of teacher burnout, a lack of teacher retention, and lots of teacher turnover. High turnover refers to an organization that has issues where employees leave a company for lots of different reasons. Since the increase of COVID, lots of educators have left the field of education, leaving lots of districts in higher demand. I want to tell you about a story of a district that responded to this dire need of education with quick response and quick feet, even though they too were strapped with many educators. Close your eyes as we go on a journey. Imagine a school that didn't close during COVID. This school stayed open 24/7. No matter how many COVID spells hit left or right, the doors remained open and every single kid was welcomed no matter what. This particular school seemed to struggle with maintaining a science teacher. Within 2 years, the science position rotated 4 times. 4 times. The teachers finally gave up on depending on a person sitting in the seat for longer than one day. They started placing bets to figure out how long the teacher would last. As soon as the teacher would walk in the door, they gave up learning the teacher's name. They got so used to teachers leaving left and right that they started coming up with a backup plan, or as we like to call it, Plan B. Plan B started when the science teacher just woke up one morning and stopped showing up to work. The teachers had to figure out a way to get the schedule covered to have all of the students still covered with having four curricular classes held and school held every day with only four teachers. Those four teachers were expected to run 5 classrooms at a time. The last time I checked, 5 plus 4 does not equal another 5. So, what the teachers did is they decided to cross teach. They found a way to incorporate science in everything that they did. And instead of rotating the students through the science class, each teacher extended their core curriculum class by a few extra minutes in order to cover the science curriculum as well. The main concern for all four teachers involved is they were tired of the students being engaged in lots of transition and turnover. At the end of the day, the teachers felt that the students were the ones who suffered. They were the ones who would learn a teacher's name, and the next thing they knew, they were gone. The students were the ones who were one day learning one lesson, one day getting hands on, one day working from a textbook, and they just possibly couldn't keep up. They felt that the students deserved some sort of consistency and some sort of growth in their education. The teachers decided to come up with a game plan that helped for the one little household district figure out a way to make the turnover work for their household, for their district, and still in order, I'm sorry, and still all in order, maintain ideal, ideal classroom. Needless to say, the science position was no longer needed. What the administration decided to do was still hire for that position, but they decided to utilize the teacher as an intervention teacher to help fill the gaps due to COVID. This teacher was able to meet the skills that were needed for every single student coming through the door. Luckily, the school district was a small district, allowing for a small window of students to be filled in the intervention window. But the district and the teachers were able to come up with a solution that allowed for every student's needs to still be met. Who am I? Every person has a set of values and beliefs that they wish to live by and that they hold true to their career. As you see clearly in yours, mine is no different. I wear my values every which way that I go. I pride myself in not only caring, but following and honoring my core beliefs and values, which is something I learned while attending Concordia University. Knowing who you are, understanding who you are, standing up for who you are, and what you believe is something that we as educators teach our students to do day in and day out. As a leader of our fine schools, it would be tactless not to do the same. Integrity, grace, and perseverance are three things I strive for and live by in all things. It is important that the district, community, and all applicable stakeholders know that as a woman with integrity, grace, and perseverance, I will instill the same values and beliefs into the very foundation of our community. Change and improvement. With new leadership always comes change, but there always becomes room for improvement. One of my biggest things that I lean on when it comes to change and improvement is creating a culture of trust and responsibility within all stakeholders within a district. In doing so, that trust and the culture of responsibility is built up by creating a foundation that is built on transparency. In order to build up transparency, all communication with stakeholders will be held on a monthly basis. I feel that it is important to keep all stakeholders in the loop with any changes and improvements. To buy, I'm sorry, to gain buy-in from all stakeholders, it is important for all voices to be heard, for all applicable parties to be sat at the table, and everyone to have a share fair in the say so. Even as superintendent, there's always a checks and balances, a powers to say that belief to balance out each ordeal. The Board of Education is set up for a purpose in order to help in this set of form. When it comes to organizational change, one of the biggest things to look at is the evaluation process for that organizational change. When looking into organizational change, the evaluator and the evaluatee are one of the biggest things to take into consideration. One of the things that I like to do when coming into a new district is surveying the entire district to really get a feel for the culture of the district. It's hard to come into a district and make a change or suggest any type of improvements without getting down to the meat potatoes, the nit and gritty of every single voice that needs to be heard. Improvement and change is not important for me or you. It's important for the youth that we hope to bring forth the change that we're wanting to make forth for tomorrow. Student accountability. Student accountability is something that's important to every single district. Student accountability is what drives the district's heart and blood of every single district to show how a student grows or how a district grows, how a district improves, and how a district is able to move to the next step for the students that it serves. Setting high standards and clear expectations for every single person that walks through the door, whether that's student, custodian, parent, guardian, principal, or caregiver. It's important for us to lead with every kid that's in the future at heart and mind. One great way to go about student accountability with all stakeholders is the implementation of connecting the classroom to the home. In doing so, it allows us to measure not only students' academic growth, but their social learning growth as well. One of the things that we incorporated at one of my schools is a social emotional learning called a social emotional lesson every single Wednesday, where the students are able to go out and shop and cook, and they go to like a restaurant and act like they're going out to eat. This lesson incorporates math. Every student gets a budget that they go shop with and that they're able to order their food from the restaurant with. Um, with that budget, they incorporate a tip and tax. With that tip and tax, they have to make sure that their order doesn't go over and that they are required to put in a tax. They are required to include the tax and the tip. One of the things that they love about the hands-on activity is it gives them an opportunity to practice all of their vocabulary that they've learned within the classroom. They are able to utilize social skills with along with social emotional lessons that are taught throughout the week. One of the biggest rules in the CAF is there is absolutely no cursing. The students appreciate this particular rule due to the fact that there are Oreos and often cookies and other chips involved. Little things like this at the schools and other schools help bring in a sense of community and well-being. This practice in the classroom allows us to take the kiddos out into the community and practice this at restaurants such as Olive Garden and other participating community restaurants that allow us to come in, utilize these skills, and also utilize an opportunity for a fundraiser to bring back money to the schools. Such events as the cooking and restaurant implementation in the classroom and we go out into the community is a great segue on how we bring the school district and the community together. Implementation of these lessons actually out in the real world into the community give our students the hands-on experience that each one of them need. This particular um, A great way to maintain the community's buy-in to the school's district's vision and hold every single stakeholder accountable into that vision is by offering a multitude of opportunities for stakeholders to volunteer into schools, and not only volunteer into schools, but mentoring students, inviting families into schools going and visiting local professionals and seeing other professional opportunities to give students other ideas on other job ideas on things that they can do when they grow up, workshops with community organizations, fundraisers out in the community, school-wide fundraisers that bring the community into the school, and other community-based programs that would bring sustainability to the district's vision, which is the overall purpose of what the districts and the superintendent perceive to do.